Hello everyone, welcome to today's class. In this lecture, we're going to talk about when event is over, what should we do? So there are two things I think we need to do. The first thing is we need to continue to promote this event. So when the event is over, you don't want the media coverage is over. So we need to continue to get more media coverages and also continue to reflect people's memories about these events. So that's the first thing we need to do. And the second thing we have to do is obviously the evaluations. When an event is over, we need to go and look at the things that we have done. We need to go and review things that we have done, right? We need to go and look at and all the informations and also have a better understanding about the procedures and also to define what went wrong and then something that we can improve on in the future, right? So as I mentioned previously, when the event is over, our promotion should be continuing because that's very important. A lot of time we're not just holding the event one times, right? We want to keep people's very good memory, so that's why we would like to keep promoting our events. Of course, when the event is over, our promotions would not be as much as we do during this event, but we still need to continue to letting people to know that we're organizing and we're preparing for next year's events. The promotions can take many different approaches. The very common approach is newsletters. We send them newsletters, let them know and some of the information about the events. So like if we're hosting the annual event, so before next year's event, so we need to keep sending our target audiences or ticket holders some information about these events and let them to be ready if they would like to come back again next year, right? So the newsletters are very common, and we also try to follow ups on the contents. Very common for people would do is you could reach out to your ticket holders and ask them about their experiences when they're participating in events and ask them, is there anything else they would need from these events? So, and you can get some pretty decent feedbacks from them. That's kind of important, right? And also we organize some follow-up contests that can really let people to continue to interested in these events. And also we can post some photos and videos on social media platforms, also on our websites, so all the different platforms. All right, so those post-event promotions, we have a term called after marketing. So after marketing is a process of providing continuing satisfactions and reinforcements to the past and current customers, which could help to create the lasting relationships. So one of the great examples I could think of here is like when Cubs won the World Series back to 2016. That was the first World Series for Cubs for about 100 years. So it was like a very important victory to the teams and also to the fans. So in order to continue to refresh people's memory, what Cubs did in 2016 was, first of all, they create a lot of products that are related to the team's victory, right? Just give you some examples here, some jerseys here, some players' cards here, so they can continue to promote this, right? You can continue to sell this product to your loyal fans, appreciate their support, and they would like to keep them at home as well, right? So because that's one part of their good experience and memories. All right, so that's something you possibly want to do as after marketing. Another very common way that we would like to do is we would like to get more exposure, particularly from the legacy media. We know nowadays we're using social media. Social media is key, right? We would like to keep operating social media accounts, right? Although the event is over, we still want to occasionally send out some information about the last year's events. Either you can send out some pictures, you can send out some videos, just try to refresh people's memories like during the days, right? So that's a very common way that we would like to do. Another way we would like to do is very common is we're going to host a press conferences when the event just right over. So a lot of events, they would like to host a press conferences to release some very important informations from the events to their target group. So for instance, when I cover the World Cup and cover the Olympic Games, so normally World Cup, the Olympic Games, the last day was is Sunday, right? So normally Monday mornings at 9 o'clock. So I had a World Cup organizing committee of the Olympic Games. Organizing committees will organize a press conferences. In these press conferences, so they will normally share some data about this event. So the event is over yesterday, but we got how many people attend these competitions, how many people watch these competitions, how much revenue we generated, and also if you did some great charity events during the competitions, that's also a great way for you to promote them, letting people know that you are the organizations also would like to have some contribution to the communities, right? So having a press conference is important. So that is the last chance for you to get more media exposure. Because normally you will get a lot of media exposure during the events. When the event is over, so that's last chance. So try to think about what kind of very important thing that you'll be able to share with these media members. Maybe some of the highlight moments from the competitions. Maybe you'll be able to have some like a high profile people participating. News conferences can share some informations about it, right? So this is about the last rounds of promotions. So in addition to get more media exposures, reach out to the customers, we also need to think about how should we appreciate the support from other stakeholders such as sponsors, right? We did talk about in this class that multiple different levels of sponsor involved in the event planning, organizing process, right? So either they're title sponsors or there are other levels of sponsors. So we need to go and make some follow-ups, contact with them. When the event's over, we need to go and reach out to the sponsors, let them know about what we have done for these events, give them some information about updates, event status, and also it's better to provide some sponsorship report to them, so let them know the things they were able to receive from us, right? So this sponsorship report is a very important because you would like them to come back again next year, right? To continue to give you support. So you need to let them know why their investment is worth it. So there are a lot of different ways to organize a sponsorship report. So there are two, I'll give you some examples here. Very important is we need to show them in how the market responded to their sponsorships and how the media responded to their sponsorships, right? For the market response, obviously you can show them sales number. You can survey the customers and to see whether the customer's attitude has been changed. So what you can do is like before the events, you can reach out to sponsors, customers, and let them know about, get some information about their attitudes. And when the event is over, you can also reach out to the same group of people and let them know about their perceptions. Right, so a lot of time, maybe before the events, a lot of people will have no aware of these sponsors, but when the event is over, through these promotions, people's recognition to this brand has been enhanced. So if you have that kind of information and number, please share with the sponsors. That's actually very, very important. Another thing I think sponsors really care about is the extra exposure they're able to get from these events. I'm showing an example how you'll be able to make it. So for the media exposure, you can let them know like exposure time on TV, because TV is still the mainstream media right now. So like for instance, maybe your event has been broadcast on the media platforms, TV platform for like a week. So you can calculate how many times the sponsor's logo has been displayed on the TV. So you can give them numbers, and also let them know if you're going to have the commercial on TV, how much it will cost, right? Calculate numbers to them. You can let them know how many times their name has been mentioned during these events, and how often do you mention their sponsorship, their partnerships with these events on the social medias. So you can give them a value, let them know about their investment is worth it, right? So here's give you a quick examples here. So that's NASCAR subway, the 400. So that's it, the events in North Carolina. So you provide them information like broadcast it. You've got live in national wise 4 hours, NBC's free to air TV. So the total sponsors exposure is like these times, like total exposure time for the sponsor food is these times, and they share about the exposure time. So you can provide them some this kind of information to let them know about how their brands being exposed on the legacy media platforms. Okay, so this is about how we're going to reach out to the sponsors. When the event is over, we're very likely to have something called debriefing. So debriefing is kind of important. It's kind of actually we're going to reach out to some of the key stakeholders and ask them to send someone to these meetings. In these debriefing, we've basically had a chance to meet with different stakeholders. We talk about the key stakeholders, not all the different stakeholders, right? We want to get some feedback from them about these events, let them know about. They can share their experience with you and let you know about whether they're happy or satisfied with the experience, their involvement during the competitions or not. So if you be able to come out with the report and share the report with all the stakeholders, that will also be very helpful, so you can create a survey and get some information. So in terms of the post-events evaluation, there's so many different ways to be able to conduct a lot of different kinds of informations, right? So the why are we doing this evaluation is obviously we try to identify some problems, and also we will be able to address some of the potential problems. And also we would like to use this evaluation as a very important approach to improve our management, right? So technically, for this evaluation, we consider in these 5 different areas, right? The first areas is talk about attendance evaluation, and then it's a staffing evaluation, management evaluation, and also we're going to look at economic impact and social impact, right? So let's start with the attendance evaluation. So how are we going to evaluate our participants or spectators, their satisfactions? To understand our participants, spectators, their experiences, obviously the most straightforward way that we're going to do is we're going to conduct some either qualitative researches or quantitative researches. Their information is not quite easy to gather like before the competition, after the competition, but when the event is ongoing, you possibly will be able to maybe just survey them, right? So you could survey them when they're about to leave the competitions. So you can try to use some approaches like quantitative or qualitative approaches. For the quantitative approaches, that means we can create some survey. For the qualitative approaches, we're going to conduct some interview and focus group. So let's look at some of the examples that I'm showing to you here. So to create a survey, I think some students might take marketing class. So in marketing class, we normally would talk about how we're going to create a survey to have better understanding of our customers, right? In the events also, we need to think about how we're going to create a survey. So how should we create a survey? So you can using a lot of different questions. You can use like a very brief, straightforward question is overall how you're going to rate your experiences attending this event or participating in these events, right? So like this kind of question is very subjective, right? So so people might give you very different answers to that one. And also the easiest way for you to get a lot of data and let people to participate is survey in very short period of time is to create like a 5-point Likert scale and 7-point Likert scale. I think you should be very familiar with this one, right? So examples like, please use 1 to 5 to rate your following aspects of the events. 1 represent highly dissatisfied, 5 means highly satisfied, right? So is the schedule and timing, entertainment, food, beverages, parking and directions, choice of facilities, cost and pricings, vendor management, etc. Right? Give people the opportunity using 5-point Likert scale to examine their satisfaction. So for this kind of service, you'll be able to get a lot of response very quick, and you have some data, you'll be able to present it to your clients and customers. For these surveys, another very common way is we can ask some open-ended questions like, what was your favorite part of the event? What was your least favorite part of the events? Do you have any other recommendation and suggestions to help us to improve in the future? So for this kind of open-ended question, the good thing is you'll be able to get more informations, right? Some people would like to share some of their thoughts, experiences with you, and let you have better understanding about the experiences. Unlike those data, right? Those data sometimes helpful, but they cannot provide you more in-depth information. Open-ended question can really help you provide more open-ended, in-depth information. But it's obviously very time-consuming, right? For the customers, if they care to watch the competition, they help you complete the survey. They possibly don't have a lot of time to help you answer like these questions in details. So that may also impact your response rate as well. So that's something you could consider what kind of the format you would like to use to measure the success of these competitions. Okay, in addition to understand participants' experience, also it's very important for you to understand the staff, the volunteers, and also the manager, their experiences. So now I'm going to introduce some of the approach that we can use to measure people's performance, behavior, and attitudes. One of very common approaches is called benchmarking. So benchmarking has been considered as one of the best practice. They can really help you to understand about people's experiences. So for the benchmarkings you could set a very clear and transparent things, let people to fill out this kind of information. Like you can ask people, the employee, send them a survey, let them know whether they're happy with the uniform we provide during the competition, they're happy with how many people are working together in that particular points, right? Whether they're happy with the salary and pay rate, happy with the shift hours, happy with the working hours, the length of the working hours, right? So those we set a very clear standard, and we ask them about whether their experiences are. It's actually important. The second thing is very common approach called wandering around. Wandering around is kind of like a TV show, Undercover Boss. Some people might watch it before. So it's kind of like talking about, as a manager, you need to get out of your office, right? You need to go and observe how people react, right? And try to make the contact with your employees. Go to talk to them in person to understand about the experience. Maybe there are some difficulties they're dealing with, and then you can think about the best solution to help them to deal with these challenges. So this is called wandering around, right? And the survey is also a common way, right? So when the event is over, you can send out your employee the survey and ask them about their experience. The survey, how you're going to create a survey, is also very similar to what we discussed previously. But a good thing for the survey is you possibly be able to get more information. You can use more open-ended questions in this survey because a lot of times these surveys are sent out through emails. Right? When people are answering something through emails, they could spend some time really sharing about the experience with you. Right here, I'll give example at university. Every year, because I'm serving on our school's administration evaluation committees. So every year we're going to evaluate all those department chair, their work performance. So we normally would do is we create a survey. We send out this survey to all faculty members and also staff, and get some feedback from them, and then we create a report, and then we present it to the total our dean, and our dean will gonna, based on the report we provide, and going to communicate this report with the department chair, give them some feedback about his or her job performance, right? That's a very common approach, is we're doing a survey. And to not just about employees, also we need to go and care about those manager, their experience. The one approach we always would like to do is the 360-degree evaluation. So for the 360-degree evaluation, is talking about we're not just reach out to other people, but also ask people to, first of all, to do self-evaluation first. First of all, you need to go and reflect things that you have done first, and look at what went wrong, and also something that you could improve on in the future. And also we have some assessment done by co-workers, and maybe some staff supervisor by the persons. And also we're gonna do some studies about how people's who supervise the other personnel about their experience as well. So we get a lot of different kind of information together. So for the event managers, you'll be able to understand about the human relationships among all the different employees that are working together, right? So this is about staff and management evaluation. So the last two very important things we need to go and look at. One is economic impact. One is a social impact. So for economic impact in this semester, we actually had the opportunity to calculate economic impact. So for that economic impact, we calculate during the semester. So that was like before the events is going to happen, right? So now we need to go and really calculate economic impact, right? So we have actual data right now. So for all the event return on investment, ROI is always important. ROI is we try to compare events cost to its useful or values in the monetary benefits, right? To calculate this return on investment, a lot of time we're using economic impact report. So economic impact report, what we're going to do now is very similar to what we did in the past. Now we basically have all the data, right? We know how many athletes coming, how many ticket holders, how many sponsors, and also how many media members from out of town. So we can do some calculations by using the actual data and come up with economic impact. And then present it to the governments or local communities, right? So that is actually very useful way for us to reflect things we have learned and we have done. All right, here's the link. There's a video there you'll be able to watch. So for this video, it's very short, it's only 2 minutes. You'll be able to see how Phoenix, Arizona, how they normally calculate economic impact for sporting events when the event is over. And they also talk about how the major events like Super Bowl, like those big professional sports teams, all-star games that plays in the Arizona, how would those events really contribute to the local economics and to the local communities. Right, so just go and watch this video. Click on the link and watch this video. Okay, the last thing we would like to look at, in addition to the economic impact, is we would like to look at social impact. So for the social impact analysis, can really help the organization to have a very strong understandings of the local community perceptions of their organizations. So this is something we call cycle income. Cycle income is basically approach is to see cities would like to examine whether events, particularly sports event, can really enhance the the social relationships among all the different groups in the same communities. And they also would like to use it to present its identity, personality, and status to the rest of the world. So for the sidekick income, we look at three things. The first thing is we would like to see whether having a sports events like this can really increase social interaction. So for instance, in the past, maybe some of the community have never had a chance to communicate and talk or work together, but because of these events, they're able to have more interaction, more collaborations. So this will be a good start, because in the future, they will have a lot more opportunities to get to know each other and then work together. And the next thing is we're going to look at is common groups interest. Right, so for some business, they may have a very similar business interest, right? Because of having these events, they're able to get to know about each other's, and they're able to collaborate with each other's, and also develop very strong and trust relationship between facilities and the events. Just like economic impact, we look at return on investment. Social impact, we also going to look at return on investment. Right, so social return investment model that examine the financial amounts of the social value generated from the facility events. Right, we look at what stakeholders engagement. So match the level to which stakeholders' objective is identify and integrate into the organizational process. We look at stakeholders' interest. So whether their interest has been enhanced because of these events or not. All right, we try to develop a impact map, how these events really impact the local communities. So how would that impact the local restaurant, local hotel business, local tourism business? So we can go and conduct impact like this. And also we develop appreciations of the die weight here. Try to measure the populations of the outcome they will have to occur in the communities, regardless of the existing of the facilities and the events. So this is about social return on investments. Right. To look at the social impact, so you can think about some positive and negative impact. I'll just give you some example that you can consider. Right, positive impact like include maybe the image of the community has been enhanced and also increase awareness, right? Because having these events put the cities into the map, get a lot more media exposure. So that's kind of like positive impact, right? And also others like you always improve the cultural understanding. Using these sports events as an opportunity to show what made the community unique. And if that's a major event, you obviously can show the global audience about the unique cultures in these countries. And also they increase the commercial activities, improve facility and new sport. And a lot of times, because if we didn't have the opportunity to host events like this, we possibly won't have these opportunities to build up these facilities, right? So that's also some positive things you can think about it, right? Also because of these events, so for the general public in this community have better understanding of these sports, right? And also community coherence is also important. For the negative impact you can consider is about crime, right? Because more people come into these events, maybe the crime rates has been increased, displacements, and also disruptions of daily life, fans' behaviors, because you have fans of all the places, right? So particularly, I'm not sure how many of you had the opportunity to watch soccer in Europe. Because European soccer fans, they're super crazy, particularly soccer fans from Germany and from England, right? If like during the Europes, they normally, a bunch of the soccer fans will normally travel to the host country to watch their national team to play. And they also have done a lot of crazy things, maybe destroy the bars or have some fires. So that's very, very common. Particularly before Africa Games, I remember in 2012 during the European Championships, that was held in Ukraine. So I think that was a Sweden teams. They were playing Ukraine, play against Ukraine national teams. So there were about I think 3,000 Sweden fans come and went to the competitions. So they brought a lot of beer, tons of beer before the competition. They were singing in the street, and they would pee on the street all the time. So I remember when the game was over and that day, and the second day, when I was in the public transport, I can still smell, that the fans pee on the street. So this fans' behaviors could also become a negative impact. So these kind of things will really impact the local community, their experiences. And obviously, poor performance. We have the events. We hope everyone can show off, show their best performance. But if they don't have a very good performance, that can really impact the quality of the competition, which will also become a negative impact that you can consider. All right. So this is how we are going to examine events. We look at it from 5 perspectives. We look at economic impact, social impact. We also try to examine the participants' experiences to understand about their staff's experiences and also managers' experiences. Okay, so this is the end of the lecture. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to send me emails. I will see you guys next time.